Marcus Johnson was a quiet man. He lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. Marcus worked as a mechanic at a local garage. Every day he woke up early and worked hard to provide for his family. He had a wife and 2 children whom he loved very much. Marcus was known for being kind and respectful to everyone he met. But one day, his life changed in a way he never expected. The story began on a cool morning. Marcus had to go to court. It was not for a big crime or something serious. He had a small dispute with a neighbor about a fence that separated their yards. Marcus believed the fence was on his land, but his neighbor thought differently. Because they could not agree, the matter went to court to let the judge decide. Marcus felt nervous but hopeful. He wanted to tell the truth and hoped everything would be fair. He wore his best clothes, a clean shirt and dark pants. His heart was steady as he walked into the courthouse. The building was old, with tall pillars and big windows. People sat quietly in the waiting area. Marcus took a deep breath and tried to calm himself. Inside the courtroom, Marcus saw the judge sitting high on the bench. The judge looked serious but fair. There were also lawyers, the neighbor, and some court staff. Among them was Officer James Crawford. Marcus had heard about this officer before. Some people said he was strict, but others warned that he was not. Fair to black people. Marcus did not want to believe those stories. He wanted to think everyone in the court would treat him with respect. The hearing started. Marcus spoke clearly and calmly. He explained why he believed the fence was his. The neighbor also spoke, trying to prove the opposite. The judge listened carefully, asking questions when needed. The courtroom was quiet except for the voices of those involved. Marcus kept his hands folded and looked straight ahead. He wanted to show that he was serious and honest. But as the hearing went on, Marcus noticed Officer Crawford watching him. The officer's eyes were hard and cold. He did not look like someone who wanted to help. Instead, he seemed angry and annoyed. Marcus tried to ignore it and focus on the judge, but the officer's glare made him uneasy. At one point, Marcus was asked to stand up and answer a question. He did so without hesitation. But Officer Crawford suddenly stood too close behind him. The officer's voice was loud and sharp as he told Marcus to be quiet and stop talking too much. Marcus was surprised and confused. He had done nothing wrong. The judge did not say anything at first. Then, without warning, Officer Crawford grabbed Marcus by the arm and pushed him. The room gasped. Marcus stumbled but tried to stay steady. Before anyone could react, the officer's hand hit Marcus's face hard. A sharp pain exploded in Marcus's nose. He felt blood running down his face. Marcus's nose was broken. The courtroom fell silent. People stared in shock. Marcus stood frozen, pain burning in his nose and his heart. He wanted to say something, to ask why the officer was doing this. But he could not find the words. Instead, he held back tears and stayed calm. He did not want to make the situation worse. The judge finally spoke, but his voice was quiet and unsure. The officers in the room moved to control the situation, but no one stopped Crawford immediately. Marcus felt the eyes of everyone on him. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. But the officer showed no sign of regret. Marcus was taken to small room to rest. His nose hurt badly. He could hear the murmurs of people talking about what had happened. Marcus knew this was not just about the fence anymore. It was about something bigger: justice, fairness, and respect. Despite the pain, Marcus stayed strong. He thought about his family waiting for him at home, thought about what he needed to do next. He knew this story would not end here. Something inside him grew hope and courage. He was ready to face whatever came next, not just for himself, but for many others who had faced unfair treatment. That day in the courtroom changed Marcus's life forever. It was the start of a journey that would challenge the system and show the power of standing up for what is right. Even when the world feels unfair, Marcus knew he had to keep his head high and fight with dignity. After that painful day in the courtroom, Marcus Johnson's life changed in many ways. The injury to his nose was not only painful but also left a mark on his spirit. When he went home, his wife Angela was shocked to see him bleeding and hurting. She gently helped him clean his face, and made sure he rested well. Even though his nose was broken and swollen, Marcus wanted to focus on something else. Getting justice news about the incident spread fast in their town. A young woman at the courthouse had secretly recorded a part of what happened. She shared the video on social media, and soon many people saw how Officer James Crawford had hit Marcus without any reason. People were shocked and angry. But many started to ask questions. How could a police officer do such a thing inside a courtroom? Why was Marcus treated like that when he had done nothing wrong? The story reached local newspapers and TV stations. Reporters called Marcus and his family for interviews. Marcus spoke calmly but firmly. Said, "I only wanted to tell the truth. I did not expect to be hurt like this. But I want people to know this is not just about me. It is about fairness for everyone." His words touched many people who saw him on the news. At the same time, Marcus began to feel fear. Would the police come after him again? Would he face more trouble? But he also felt support. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers sent messages of kindness. Some came to his house to show they cared. Marcus understood he was not alone. His courage had inspired others. Marcus found a lawyer named Ms. Parker. She was known for helping people fight against injustice. When Marcus told her his story, she promised to help. Ms. Parker explained that they could file a complaint against Officer Crawford. They could ask for a fair investigation and demand that the officer be held responsible. Marcus felt hope growing inside him. The process was not easy. Marcus had to tell his story many times. He had to answer questions and sign papers. Sometimes he felt tired and wanted to give up. But Angela and his children reminded him why this fight mattered. They said, "You are not just fighting for yourself. You are fighting for all of us." Meanwhile, the police department started its own investigation. Officer Crawford was put on leave, but many people wondered if that was enough. Marcus and his lawyer wanted to make sure the truth came out. They gathered witnesses who saw the event. The young woman who recorded the video agreed to speak in court. Every detail helped build a stronger case. The town held meetings about the incident. Community leaders spoke about the need to change how police officers behaved. Marcus attended some of these meetings. At first he was nervous to speak in front of so many people. But when he talked, his voice was strong. He shared his experience and called for justice and respect for everyone, no matter their skin color. As time passed, Marcus began to heal physically. His nose slowly got better, but the pain he felt inside took longer to go away. Sometimes he had bad dreams about the courtroom and the officer's angry face, but each day he found small moments of peace. Walking in the park with his children, laughing with his wife, or fixing cars at his garage made him feel normal again. His story inspired more people to speak up. Others who had faced unfair treatment by police came forward. Marcus helped connect them to Ms. Parker's law office. Together they formed a small group that worked to educate the community about their rights and how to stay safe when dealing with law enforcement. Marcus also started meeting with local politicians. He wanted to tell them that people needed better protection from police abuse. Some politicians listened and promised to support new rules and training for officers. Marcus knew change would not come overnight, but he believed every small step counted. Throughout this time, Marcus kept thinking about the courtroom. That place had once been a symbol of fairness to him. Now it felt like a place of fear and pain. But Marcus wanted it to be different. He dreamed of a day when everyone would be treated equally, with respect and kindness. That dream gave him strength to continue. The fight for justice became part of Marcus's daily life. It was not easy, but he felt proud. He was showing his children that standing up for what is right is important. Even when the world feels unfair, courage and hope can make a difference. Marcus's broken nose was a reminder of the battle he faced, but it was also a symbol of his bravery. The community began to rally around Marcus. Churches, schools, and local groups held events to support him and others like him. People wrote letters to the police chief and mayor, demanding answers and change. Marcus was amazed by the kindness and unity he saw. He knew that together they were stronger. One day, Marcus received a call from a national civil rights organization. They wanted to join the fight and help bring attention to his case. Marcus was grateful. The story was growing beyond the town. It was becoming a symbol of the need to end racism and violence in law enforcement everywhere. Despite all the challenges, Marcus stayed hopeful. He remembered the day in court when he stood tall, even after the officer broke his nose. That moment showed him he could face anything with dignity. His journey was far from over, but he knew he was not alone. With the help of his lawyer, community, and family, Marcus was ready for the next step. He was determined to make sure that justice would be served, not just for himself, but for all who had been treated unfairly. The fight was hard, but it was worth it, and so Marcus's story continued, a story of pain, hope, and courage. A story that reminded everyone that one person can make a difference. A story that called for fairness, respect, and change. The news about Marcus Johnson's case grew louder every day. Many people were watching, hoping for justice. But then, something happened that shocked the whole town and even the people who were helping Marcus. Officer James Crawford, the same man who had broken Marcus's nose in the courtroom, was appointed as a new judge. The news came as a surprise to everyone. It felt like a big step backward, not forward. People found it hard to believe. How could someone with a record of unfairness and anger be trusted with such an important job? A judge's role is to be fair, calm, and to protect the rights of everyone who comes to court. But Crawford's actions had shown a different side. Many wondered why the city leaders chose him for this position. Marcus was hurt and confused by the news. He had hoped the court system would protect people like him. Instead, it seemed to reward someone who had acted against him. But Marcus knew he had to stay strong. This new challenge was part of the fight for justice. Marcus and his lawyer, Ms. Parker, talked about what they could do next. They decided to tell the community and the leaders that this decision was wrong. They started planning ways to make their voices heard. The goal was clear: to stop Crawford from becoming a judge and to make sure justice was fair for all people. The first step was to organize peaceful protests. Marcus and some supporters gathered in front of the courthouse. They held signs that said "Justice for all" and "No place for racism in the court." The crowd was small at first but grew quickly. People from different backgrounds came together. They wanted to show that the community would not accept unfairness. Marcus spoke at one of the protests. His voice was calm but strong. He said, "We believe in justice. We believe that those who hurt others should not be in charge of judging. We ask the leaders to listen to our voices and do the right thing." His words inspired many people and made the news again. The protests caught the attention of local politicians. Some were surprised by how much people cared about this issue. Others were worried about what might happen if they did not act. Meetings were held behind closed doors. Marcus was invited to speak with city leaders, told them about his experience and why Crawford should not be a judge. Not everyone agreed with Marcus. Some officials said Crawford had the right to this new job, they said. Everyone deserves a chance to change. But Marcus and his supporters believe that trust is earned by actions. They showed records of Crawford's past complaints and the video of him hurting Marcus. These facts made many people question the decision. While the protests and meetings continued, Marcus also used the media to share his story. He appeared on local radio and TV shows. He told his truth calmly, explaining how the appointment was wrong and dangerous. Many people called in to support him. His message was clear: fairness and respect should be the foundation of the legal system. The fight was not easy. Marcus sometimes felt tired and discouraged. The system seemed big and slow. But every time he saw a new person join the protest or send a message of support, he felt hope again. He was not alone. Together, they were making a difference. Meanwhile, some community leaders started a petition to remove Crawford from the judge position. Hundreds of people signed it quickly. The petition was sent to the mayor and city council. It showed that many people wanted change. This made the officials think carefully about their choices. Marcus also met with faith leaders from different churches. They offered prayers and support. They organized events to bring the community together. They spoke about forgiveness and justice, helping people heal from pain and anger. Marcus appreciated this support because it gave him strength to keep going. At home, Marcus's family stood by him. Angela helped him stay positive. Their children saw their father as a hero. Marcus knew that his fight was about their future too. He wanted a world where his children would be safe and treated fairly. The story of Marcus and Officer Crawford became a symbol in the town. It was a reminder that power should not be given to those who do not respect others. It was a lesson about courage and standing up against unfairness. One day, the city council called a public hearing to discuss Crawford's appointment. The room was full of people, many wearing shirts supporting Marcus. Marcus spoke again, sharing his feelings and hopes. Many others spoke too, telling stories of unfair treatment by police and the need for justice. The council listened. The meeting lasted for hours. At the end, they promised to review the decision carefully. Marcus and his supporters waited anxiously. They knew that this was only the beginning of a long process. Through this challenge, Marcus grew stronger. He learned that change takes time and effort. He understood that speaking up is not always easy, but is necessary. His courage inspired many in the town to believe in justice again. The appointment of Officer Crawford as judge was a shock, but it became a turning point. It brought the community together and showed that people could fight back against unfair decisions. Marcus's story was no longer just about one man. It was about a town and a future where justice would be true for everyone. Marcus felt the weight of the struggle more deeply than ever. The fight to stop Officer Crawford's appointment as judge was growing bigger and more serious. But Marcus was ready. He knew this was a battle not just for himself, but for the whole community. He wanted to show that everyone deserved respect and fairness, no matter their skin color. Marcus began to attend many public meetings. These meetings were often long and filled with many people talking. Some people supported Crawford, but many others stood with Marcus. At these meetings, Marcus told his story again and again, spoke clearly and calmly, sharing the pain he had felt in the courtroom and the fear he now carried in his heart. His words moved many people. They saw that Marcus was honest and brave. The media continued to follow the story closely. Reporters came to Marcus's home and workplace. Marcus answered their questions with patience. He did not want to anger anyone, but wanted to explain the truth. Sometimes he was tired, but he knew the story needed to be told. Every time the story appeared on TV or in newspapers, more people learned about what was happening. Marcus found new friends and allies in the community. Local leaders, teachers, pastors, and even some police officers who believed in justice joined his cause. They organized events to talk about fairness, equality, and the need to change the system. Marcus was invited to speak at schools and churches. Young people listened carefully to his message. Many told Marcus that his courage inspired them too. Stand up for what is right too. With the support of these new friends, Marcus helped create a group called Justice for All. The group's goal was to make the legal system fairer for everyone. They held workshops to teach people about their rights. They met with lawmakers to ask for new rules to prevent officers like Crawford from having power. Marcus felt proud of what they were building. It was more than just a fight. It was a movement for change. At the same time, Marcus took care of himself. The memories of the broken nose and the pain stayed with him, but he tried not to let them control his life. He spent time with his family. He laughed with his children and shared quiet moments with his wife. These moments gave him strength and hope. He knew that fighting alone was hard, but fighting with love and support was powerful. One day, Marcus was invited to speak at a large community event. Thousands of people came to listen. Marcus stood on the stage and looked out at the crowd. He felt nervous, but remembered why he was there. He told the story of the courtroom, the pain he felt, and the hope he held for a better future. The crowd listened quietly, then clapped loudly. Some people cried. Marcus knew that his message was reaching hearts, but the journey was not without struggle. Some people criticized Marcus. They said he was making trouble or that he was wrong to speak out. Marcus heard these words but did not let them stop him. He believed that truth and justice were worth fighting for. He kept going because he knew the fight was bigger than any one person. The officials who appointed Crawford were watching the growing protests and support for Marcus. They faced pressure from many sides. Some began to question their decision and looked for ways to fix the problem. Meetings were held in secret. Plans were made to review Crawford's appointment again. Marcus and his group kept pushing. Sent letters, met with officials, and used social media to share updates. Their message was simple: a person who had hurt someone without reason should not be a judge. The community's voice grew stronger every day in the middle of this fight. Marcus also thought about forgiveness. He did not want to hate Officer Crawford. Instead, he hoped Crawford would learn and change. Marcus spoke about this at a meeting once, saying, "We want justice, but we also want to heal. Hate only makes more pain." His words showed wisdom. Beyond his years, as the months passed, the pressure worked. The city council agreed to hold a public hearing to discuss Crawford's future as a judge. The hearing was scheduled for a big hall where many people could come and speak. On the day of the hearing, Marcus was ready. He dressed carefully and brought his family for support. The hall was filled with people wearing signs and shirts with messages like "Fairness now" and "Justice for Marcus." The atmosphere was full of hope and determination. Many people spoke at the hearing. They told stories of unfair treatment by the police and how important it was to have judges who respect everyone. Marcus spoke last. He told the room how the broken nose was more than an injury. It was a sign of a system that needed to change. He asked the council to do what was right and cancel Crawford's appointment. The hearing lasted many hours. After it ended, Marcus and his family waited nervously for the decision. A few days later, the city council announced that they would revoke Crawford's appointment as judge. They promised to look carefully at the problems in the system and make changes to prevent similar situations. Marcus felt relief and joy. The fight had not been easy, but the community's voice had been heard. His courage and the support of many had made a real difference. The story did not end there. He continued to work with his group and the community to build a better future. The courtroom where the incident happened became a symbol of change, a place where people remembered that fairness and respect must come first. Marcus knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but he was no longer afraid. He had learned that standing up for what is right can bring hope and healing. His broken nose was a mark of pain, but it was also a mark of courage. Marcus felt a deep sense of relief when the city council decided to remove Officer Crawford from the judge's position. It was a big win, not only for him, but for everyone who believed in justice and fairness. But Marcus also knew that the fight for real change was only beginning. The system had problems that needed fixing. Many people like him still faced unfair treatment every day. After the decision, Marcus took time to heal not just his broken nose, but his heart and spirit too. The pain he had felt in the courtroom, and afterward had left a mark. Sometimes he would sit quietly and think about all that had happened. He missed the days when life was simple and calm, but he also felt proud. He had stood up against injustice, even when it was hard. His courage had inspired many people. Marcus's family was his greatest support. Angela stayed by his side through every step of the journey. She reminded him to take care of himself and not to carry all the burden alone. Their children looked up to him as a hero who fought for what was right. Even in hard times, it is important to be strong and kind. The community that had gathered around Marcus continued to grow stronger. Justice for All, the group Marcus helped start, became a powerful voice in the town. They worked on many projects, teaching people about their rights and encouraging respect between citizens and police. Marcus often spoke at schools and events, sharing his story to help others understand why fairness matters. The courtroom where the incident had happened became a symbol of hope. People who once feared it now saw it as a place where change began. Marcus visited the courthouse sometimes and thought about how far things had come. He hoped that one day no one would ever have to go through what he did. Marcus also met with local leaders to help make new rules for the police and judges. They talked about training officers to respect everyone and ways to stop unfair treatment. Some changes were slow, but Marcus believed that every small step could lead to a better future. He reminded people that real justice means treating everyone with dignity and fairness. As the months passed, Marcus found new strength in his daily life. He returned to his work as a mechanic, fixing cars and helping customers. He smiled more and laughed with his family. The pain in his nose healed, and the nightmares became less frequent. But the memory of that day stayed with him, reminding him why he fought so hard. Sometimes Marcus received messages from people he did not know. They thanked him for speaking out and sharing his story. Some told him they had faced similar struggles and felt hope because of him. Marcus felt honored and grateful. He knew that one person's voice could make a difference. Marcus also learned about forgiveness. He did not hate Officer Crawford. Instead, he hoped that Crawford would understand the harm he caused and change for the better. Marcus believed that forgiveness did not mean forgetting, but letting go of anger to find peace. He shared this message with others, saying that healing was part of justice too. Life was not perfect, but Marcus had found a new purpose. He worked every day to build a world where fairness and kindness were the rules, not the exceptions. He dreamed of a day when no one would be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The fight that started with a broken nose in a courtroom had become a story of courage, hope, and change. Marcus's journey showed that even when the world seems unfair, standing up for what is right can inspire many. His story was a light for those still searching for justice. As Marcus looked toward the future, he felt ready. He knew challenges would come, but he believed in the power of people working together. His voice, once quiet, had become strong. And with that strength, he would continue to fight for a better tomorrow for himself, his family, and the community he loved.